Listen, Superboy, Superman. I'm just, if it's John Byrne
yeah.
and you're talking about someone from Krypton, it's a great pickup. Okay, and we are officially live. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Sketch God here. And joining me this evening, it is Jason, also known as the patron of comic art, willing to really show us some of the pieces that he really believes stands out and that are worthy of community attention. Jason, thank you for joining me this evening.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
We really appreciate you being here. I know that you're really active on IG. That's how I came to really get a sense of what you collect. Really cool stuff in your stories and lots of really good commentary on some of the art that's available. So I'm glad you're here to show some people parts of your own collection.
Thank you. Got a few pieces I'd like to share. All right, so I will start with a CGC book. So Marvel many years ago started releasing blank cover issues, and I know some people had problem with artists specifically had issues with the covers being a little too slick, but then they started getting better. And so one of the first pieces I got was through CGC forums many years ago, and it is this piece.
Oh, wow.
This is a Wolverine done by Arthur Adams, and CGC forums many years ago went online. Someone, I can't remember who, it was a while ago, posted that there was an opportunity to get a commission on blank covers. And so I was trying to determine what kind of commission I wanted. And I go back to the cover from Classic X-Men #1, where Wolverine is front and center. And so I was like, gotta get me a Wolverine. And so I commissioned this, and I remember it took a while. I was getting a little nervous. I thought, because you never know when you're handing over money to people you don't know. You might not get it, you might not get what you ordered, or worst case, you never get anything. And so this came in the mail. I don't know if I should.
Yeah, definitely let people see that, because when you're talking about the rare opportunity that you can get Arthur Adams to make customized art for you, I don't think there's a better choice really than any of the X-Men.
Yeah.
And then if you're gonna pick one, Logan is your guy. So really, really excellent pickup. And the art itself, it's classic Art Adams, looks wonderful. So that was well played.
Thank you.
Well done.
I at the time I wasn't sure. I just asked for a headshot. I didn't ask for any specifics. So he had free reign to do whatever he wanted. And then when I opened the package and I saw this, my jaw was on the floor, to say the least. At the time, I paid, I would say, $300 for this.
Not happening in 2023.
No. Right now, through Comic Sketch Art, they're doing smaller versions, less detailed, for $500. That's as of 2023 this year. Anything like this that you saw would be similar size, maybe at most about 9x12 headshot. That detailed, $2,500.
I believe it, and I just got to say, what Jason is bringing up is a recurring theme. If you've been watching these profiles, timing is everything. And with some of these artists, you really have to take advantage of a window when it looks like you're going to be able to get a piece that really is going to be satisfying for a price that you can deal with, a price that you can live with. Take full advantage when an opportunity is there. Jason just showed you how it's done.
Yeah, I was very fortunate with that. And I know he's showing up at the Terrific Con 2023 this year, and I plan on going. So I'm considering getting another one. Granted, I know it's not going to be as detailed, but again, at a price point of $500, I'm debating. But I mean, it's cheaper than $2,500. So.
Very true.
Yeah. And when it comes to this hobby, I'd like to add that it's very important to know what your budget is. I'm the type of con goer that will go on the website. I'll also be on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and essentially follow the creators I admire, see what cons they're going to, and see what cons I'm going to, and then do as much research as possible when it comes to um, getting certain pieces from creators. There were opportunities in my past that I, look back on and missed out. So, for example, I could have gotten a full figure Wolverine by Herb Trimpe had I known better, or Gene Colan Daredevil had I known better, or a headshot of Joker or Batman from Jerry Robinson had I known better. But I was young and dumb, and it's those lessons of missing out that you then realize you want to get these creators that you admire while you can, and really understand if a creator co-created a character, um, or had a significance with the character, get a commission from that creator while they're with us. And I mean, these are beautiful works of art that I've admired since I was a fan of comics when I was a kid. And so, on top of collecting, certain keys, this is the thing I really focus on now, which is original art and commissions and published art. So,
And I think that a lot of collectors have had a similar pathway. You're right.
mhm.
Once you've already gotten those keys that you've dreamed about for years, that you remember being on the shelf that you maybe couldn't afford as a kid, now as an adult, you've been lucky enough to add them to your collection. Original art is the next logical step. And like you said, you have to be very conscious of these windows of opportunity because it's not like a Bronze Age key where you're going to see it at every show. Some of these
Yeah,
individuals, they're in your region of the country or your part of the world, maybe only once. So you need to use all of your resources, like you pointed out, social media, what's going on through some of the representation of these artists, if they're, with a particular company, and get a sense of the patterns. How often are they on the con circuit? How often do they open their commission list just to the general public where you can actually, make a purchase online? You have to account for those things. But in general, if it's a creator, like you pointed out, who's known for a character and you're getting up there in age,
very
you
much so. Yeah.
definitely need to take advantage of the opportunity when it's there.
Speaking of another piece of artwork that's connected to a creator, um, so on Facebook a number of years back, I commissioned a headshot uh, of not Wolverine, excuse me, of Ghost Rider by Mark Teixeira, and I waited and I waited and I waited, and I'm the type that I give artists their time, but after a while, I do my due diligence and I ask what's going on, is everything okay? And artists are human beings; they have lives, but they also have their foibles, and so sometimes life happens, and sometimes they're just forgetful. Um, and so, uh, Mark was showing up at a convention, Big Apple Con, a number of years back, and I was going there for another artist, but he happened to be there too. So I asked him about the progress of the piece. Didn't come. Didn't have the piece at all. So we made a deal where I would help him with his table for a day, and in return, he would complete my commission, even though I already paid for it. Go figure. Uh, he's a really nice guy, but I mean, again, some of these artists are artists solely, and it is
He
what it is.
needed some help with
I
his
you know,
booth.
yeah, yeah, that was an experience all its own. It was a good one too. But so I originally commissioned a black and white Ghost Rider headshot, something simple, because I like his work, but I didn't want just pencils. A lot of times he just does pencils, which is fine, but I like a little more detail with the inks. And he more than made up for the long time I waited for it, and it was this piece.
Oh, okay.
He did this in front of me at the convention while I was helping people get their books signed, remarked, taking money, answering questions, seeing what time he had left for certain commissions for fans that were showing up at the table. And this was the last thing he uh, made for me. Well, he made in general before the night was over. And then he was kind enough to take me to dinner afterwards with another creator. So
That
this is,
uh,
I want to say watercolors completely. And you can't see it here, but even the eyes, they're actually tiny skulls as
oh
well.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's you can't really see it here, but I mean, again, I'll send you photos so you can have them superimposed later
That is
afterwards, so
awesome.
you can see the detail. And I was fortunate enough to have a my cell phone with me, and have some footage of him actually painting this for me, and it was just I I was flabbergasted. Again, black and white headshot. That's all I wanted, and then he gave me this, and I'm like, I'm not gonna say no. So,
Of course not.
you know,
And let me say, if you're a collector of a certain age, Mark Teixeira on Ghost Rider. I mean, so many classic Danny Ketch Ghost Rider covers. It's just an amazing connection to have. Again, linking the artist with that particular character, it's magic. And he made up for lost time. I mean, moral of the story: good things come to those who wait.
yeah. I wasn't, and I would reach out and ask, but I'm not the type to badger people because then I understand people have lives and things happen. So yeah,
He made
that was
good.
a nice that was a nice surprise to say the least. So the next one is a creator I've been a fan of for many years since his run on Spider-Man, and then he jumped over to Image to work on his own comic called Savage Dragon, and so at New York Comic Con, he was actually doing commissions, and the creator is Eric Larson, and so I was trying to figure out what I wanted to get, and I was like, got to get Spider-Man. I enjoy Savage Dragon. I mean, I've not read it in a while, but when it first came out, I was a kid. I
Same,
read the first 15, 20 issues, and I
same.
like the artwork, and so I had him do this, and he also did this in front of me as well. So
Oh wow. Wow. I
and
gotta say, if you want Copper Age Spider-Man, only McFarlane, I think you can put in front of Eric Larson. I
it's
mean,
hard. I mean, you've got McFarlane, and then you had Eric Larson stepping up, and then when Larson left to work on the other Spider-Man title when Todd left that, you had Mark Bagley. Each of these guys were big hitters, but I mean, you know, I literally saw him pencil this in front of me and then ink it, and he has an interesting way of drawing that it looks like a 5-year old is using a crayon, but that's the way he holds the pencil when he's drawing. And so it's a little odd to see because you're not used to seeing something like someone holding a pencil like that. But then he does this, and you're just like, whatever works, man. I was just like,
exactly.
I'm not gonna
Oh,
complain. I was just like, it's all good. And so this at the time, I wish he dated it. It was a number of years ago, but this cost me about 200 at the time. Again, and the reason I mentioned the pricing is because at the time you think, Jesus, this is a lot of money. And not to say it's not, it is,
it's
but
relative
it's
though.
better. It's better to pay those prices then than the prices they're charging now. Like right now, I don't know what he's charging. I know he hasn't been in the con circuit for a while due to COVID and his concerns with COVID. But as things are improving, I have a feeling he'll be back on the circuit. Whether that same 200 will be the case, I have no idea. Part of me wants to get a sideways commission of Spider-Man versus um, Doc Ock.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
I think that would be cool, because again, it's not easy coming, across a creator like that. He's out in he lives in San Francisco, and so, he'll do some of the cons on that coast, and then the only time I've seen him has been in New York. He may have been at Heroes or the other big one is Baltimore, But in general, anytime I've seen him, it's been at New York Comic Con. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he shows up again
Yeah,
sometime
because
soon.
I definitely hope so too, not only for your sake, but for anybody who's interested in getting original
Yeah.
artwork from Eric Larson. But something interesting that you pointed out in terms of process,
Mhm.
for those of you who haven't had the luxury or the opportunity to be in Artist Alley and see an artist that you admire actually do the work that you've fallen in love with, it's an experience like no other. And that what you were describing, I could picture it. I could feel the magic. Just being able to watch Eric Larson pencil a Peter Parker Spider-Man right in front of you and admiring the technique, thinking about how it's different from other artists that you've had the pleasure of seeing. You know, it's money, like you said. I mean, this stuff isn't cheap, but the memories, the experience that goes along with
Yeah.
the actual physical artwork that you take with you, it's so worth it. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, when I was with him, I was just throwing questions at him like crazy, and he answered every one. Got any issues? Very nice guy. He was drawing that artwork. He would stop occasionally to sign comics for fans. I don't think at the time he was charging. I know it's big to charge now, but I don't think he was charging at all. And then also, he had a thick stack of Savage Dragon pages for sale, which in hindsight, I wish I picked up one or two,
And
but I was very happy with what I got, and so I'm hoping to see him again one of these days. If not to get a commission, then an original piece of published artwork from him. So,
the other thing too with Eric Larson, I mean, we just had a big Spawn issue 300 celebration
mm,
as a community, and I think people have lost sight of the fact that Savage Dragon has been continuously published for
yeah,
almost as long as Spawn. So we're gonna end up with that 300 number, I think, sneaking up on a lot of people, and he's gonna get a lot of attention because it is quite an accomplishment for, yeah, we don't think of Image anymore as this kind of revolutionary band of artists who broke away from the big two. I guess you could even argue it's the third publisher now. If you're really just thinking about number of titles released and presence in the top 100. So Image, they're big boys, but the fact that Eric Larson has been able to write and do everything on the artistic side for Savage Dragon for so long, um, I feel your pain with now, about not picking up one of those pages at
yeah,
that particular, turn. But going forward, that's the kind of thing I think anybody who's paying attention, if you see those Savage Dragon pages, jump on them, especially if it's for a reasonable price, because I think Savage Dragon is going to be in the conversation with a Spawn, with a Cerebus, when you're talking about uninterrupted runs where one creator is definitely helming the ship. It's going to get its flowers. It's only a matter of time.
yeah. I think it's one of those situations where Todd did it for a while, but then a lot of times he was passing off the art tours to different artists like Capullo, um, and a few others that don't come to mind at the moment. But there were quite a few of them. But in this case, when it comes to Savage Dragon, that's been his baby since literally when he was a kid,
Yeah,
creating that character, and then it's gone through different variations in terms of the look of the character until what was published in his initial miniseries before it became a regular series, and he's been writing, um, drawing. I don't know if he inks it too, but I mean he's been on that book since the beginning, and I don't
main
think anyone
creative
else.
force, without a doubt,
Yeah, absolutely.
the
So
driving creative force. So that piece you have, excellent. Hope
thank
you
you.
get a chance to add some cousins and siblings to
Let's
complete the
see.
Eric Larson family there.
Let's see. Um, and so upon speaking of published pages, I decided to share two pieces that I bought. So this one. So the reason I encourage people to follow creators on, again, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Maybe they're on TikTok too. Some are. I know, for example, Rob Liefeld. He does weekly shows on not TikTok, excuse me, Whatnot. Yes. So he will be on Whatnot. He usually advertises he'll be on Whatnot on Instagram, and then what he does is these auctions of his artwork that people who are following can bid on immediately. But the thing about TikTok is that not TikTok, Whatnot, is that as soon as you
I
win,
get the confusion because
I
it's
know
funny enough, TikTok is doing collectible auctions. I was stunned.
Oh,
Yeah, my wife, she showed me Pokemon cards are selling, sports cards. I had no idea. And the interface is not that far from Whatnot. So I know a lot of people out there, especially, individuals of our age range, are like, TikTok, get out of here, man.
yeah,
But I mean, just the potential audience, I wouldn't be surprised if more creators end up doing more things exclusively on TikTok just because the
yeah.
audience is so large. And I'm telling you, they have a storefront setup that look to be pretty user friendly. So I think once word spreads, like once one person breaks through and has like a crazy night selling stuff, TikTok is going to be a bigger part of the comic book discussion and an original art discussion.
Absolutely. So that was a slight tangent. Apologies.
Sorry
But
about that.
no, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. And so the only reason I mentioned that is because it's best to find out what creators are selling. But in this particular case, this was on Facebook through a forum where people like you and myself will have artwork that they're looking to sell. And so this one gentleman had Ed McGuinness artwork.
Oh wow.
And so normally it's a lot of money, especially his Superman stuff. So I was able to work out a deal where I would pay him his amount, but it would be in time payments. So a lot of times if people can't afford art because they don't have deep pockets or they have bills and there's nothing wrong with layaway.
Very true.
And it's think of it as before there were credit cards, there was layaway. And so in this particular case, we set an agreement on a deal for the 2 pages for a certain amount, and then we stipulated the amounts being paid every month, and then once he received the full amount, he would mail the artwork to me. And so this happens to be one of the pages.
Oh wow. Okay.
So this is from the Superman Batman run that Ed McGuinness was on with Dexter Vines
On
and
Inks. Yep.
with Jeff Love. And so
Writing.
yeah, they were doing that for a while. And so I was not I'll be honest, I was surprised I got the page for what I got. I don't remember the amount at the moment, but it's a lot cheaper than what a lot of art dealers would charge for a piece like this these days, because they're trying a lot of times the art dealers will buy a piece for a low amount and then jack it up to like 3 times the price.
Yeah, they're trying to like establish a manufacturer's suggested retail price for certain artists.
There's some I can tell you stories of the prices, but in any case,
I feel your pain and I know what you're talking about. Trust me, I know.
You can't see it, but there's a slight coffee stain there, not mine. But that happened to be on the artwork. I didn't know about it, so I was considering getting it corrected. I had one person who's known for correcting pieces like this charge I want to say upwards of over $1,000 to correct it. And then I had another one who is a known inker, and he's also he also not doctors, but he also corrects issues like this. Maybe $150 and the third option, what I just thought about, is maybe having Dexter work on it again so he could correct it. But I don't know if I should leave it or if I should get it fixed. So, but you hardly notice it until you look carefully. But I mean,
honestly, I can't see it there. To tell you the truth, I can't see it. But I also know there are pieces where I'm aware of something that's a flaw or an issue,
Yeah.
and it's clear in my mind, and I show it to people, and they're like, "Well, what?
Yeah.
Like, are you
Yeah.
sure?"
Yeah.
And it's like, "No, I'm sure it's there."
Yeah.
But you've weighed your options. I think if you could get Dexter to work on it, like that would be awesome.
That's the thing I was thinking, but I wasn't sure if I want to.
Play around with it even.
Yeah,
I
that's the
got
other
you.
thing.
I
Because
got
at the
you.
end of the day, you get some of these pages, and there might be smudges, and there might be odd things that has a history toward the art. Because again, I'm not the first owner of this piece. There have been previous owners prior to it being sold. After it was being sold, I should say. There've been other owners of this, and so from what I was told, the seller told me he purchased this directly at the time, and sometimes they'll write the price on the back on the corner, but in this case, it doesn't have the original price on the back on the corner. But he got a good deal, and in this case, I think he just needed money, and sometimes that does happen where people have things like this,
Right.
but life comes up where they need cash and they're short on it, and so that's where people can help them out. And I was happy to do so in his case.
We've all been there. There's a
Yeah,
situation where
myself
you
too.
need
Yeah.
money for life things, or you're trying to raise money
For
for
another
another
piece
piece.
that's bigger.
Absolutely. Yep. And sometimes you're just in the right place at the right time and you get that deal. The other thing, and it's hard for me to accept as well, but there's a difference between what I'll call character and flaws that almost destroy the
Yeah,
piece.
yeah,
And so, as you pointed out, some of what goes on, it shows that people have lived with this thing.
yeah,
There's stories that really enrich the understanding of what went on with the piece, whether it happened when the artist had possession of it and the transport. It's stuff that can be very cool. And then there's, oh, this thing is marred. It no longer looks the way it looked on the printed page. That's a different deal when the art itself is seriously affected and you can't really enjoy it the way it was originally intended. But a coffee stain that we can't see on our 1080p 4K 720p screens,
oh man,
I say that's character.
yeah, yeah. I don't think I'm gonna mess with it. I just like the way it looks. It just coffee stain or not. So I just don't want to take a chance. That's
I'm
my
with
thing.
you. I hear you.
And the final piece I have for tonight is a creator that's really dear to me, just because he was part of the X-Men lore, John Byrne.
Oh wow.
And so John Byrne jumped from X-Men to a few other Marvel titles. He worked on what? Fantastic Four. He had a great run.
She-Hulk.
Loved it. Wrote and drew that. Then he jumped on to Superman. Wrote and drew that.
Yep.
I mean, it just shows what kind of creative force he is in the industry, who's still with us, thankfully. He currently, I don't know if he's still working on it. He was doing an Elsewhen story for X-Men, where he was essentially doing his own X-Men story. He wrote and drew it in pencil. His art dealer is selling the pencils. Whether it would ever see print or not through Marvel, who knows? I mean, ideally it'd be awesome, but I mean, he did it for himself. He just wanted to do it, draw it, and enjoy creating that story on his own. Some people have actually taken it, printed it, put it in a bound comic format, and have been selling it, but fully inked, colored, and worded. I've not picked that up because it's a black market thing.
It's a clear bootleg.
Yeah,
absolutely. But I didn't know people had taken it that far. I mean, I was aware of this, but I didn't know they've actually gone forward and printed this.
I mean, I don't know how to get it. I know it's out there. I've seen it, but I've never read it. But what happens is people will get the pages from the PDFs, collect them, print it, and actually have a fully formed comic that they can read themselves. And so this was through he was posting these pages through his Byrne Robotics web form that he has online. That's exclusively his. He doesn't do any, social medias other than Burn Robotics. Um, and so I was trying to find artwork from John Byrne that I could pick up that wasn't crazy amount of money,
Yeah.
which is tough because his stuff has been going up a lot lately. I've noticed, um, and so there is an art dealer named Romita Man, who is essentially a huge John Romita fan, but he's an art dealer named Romita Man. You can look him up online, who sells artwork, and he had this page. And so I actually worked out a deal where I would trade some artwork and give him some cash. He would get it on his end, and then he would mail me the page. And he mailed me that.
Oh, okay.
So this is from John Byrne's run on Generations. He did this was for DC Comics, and he did Generations, which was the first series that went successful. That they did a second one, and so now this was the third one that he did. And so this particular run was 12 issues. The others were prestige format comics, like 3 or 4 of them. But in this case, they were each an issue. And this is from issue number 1, page 9. And this is Superboy trying to attack the invasion that's happening by what looks like the henchman of what's his name? Doomsday. Dark Side, not Doomsday. Lord
okay, Dark Side. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There you go. So as you can see, tanks.
Listen, yeah. Superboy, Superman. I'm just, if it's John Byrne and you're talking about someone from Krypton, it's a great pickup. So
yeah, and this isn't your typical Bristol board. It's kind of shiny. It's almost like a comic book backing board, almost. But he drew on it and inked on it. This is all him. No help, just him. Pencils, inks, signed at the bottom. And this was, from what I recollect, this was 900. But again, with the trade, it made it less, and the cash. But at the time, because again, some of these artists, at least the reps or the artists, will write the pricing on the back. It used to be $100.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
That's a markup, Yeah. But again, John Byrne, it's hard to get pages like this. Like, if you see a page that's $300 or $400, it's usually not of any
no superheroes.
Right. No, it's usually just supporting characters talking.
Pretty much.
If you want an original John Byrne piece and you're not picky about what kind of piece, you can get one of those. But I'm not about getting supporting.
If you're gonna do it right. I'm with you. You want a superhero. You want to be able to look at that and say this is a classic John Byrne panel.
And the beauty of this is it's got balloons, word balloons. There we go. And that's rare these days. You don't see that anymore.
It's a lost
art. All of that, it is a lost art, and it's mainly digitally done these days. Coloring's digital, so is the balloons and the special effects. You don't see much of that. But he when he loves working on a particular piece, he puts a lot into it. As you can see from the piece I shared, or if you ever have a chance to go on Comic Art Fans, and you type in John Byrne art, Jim Warden is his representative, and he posts a lot of artwork for sale. Specifically the penciled Elsewhen X-Men story pages. Those run from 1,200 and up. But when you look at them, it's pure pencils, all him, and he still got it. Like, there's some artists over time they kind of lose their ability. He still has it. It's amazing. So,
listen, Jason, you have put on a clinic here. I've learned some things. I'm sure everybody who's watching this has learned. So thank you for coming on and dropping the mic with hot piece after hot piece after hot piece. and just getting people to understand some of the thinking that goes into picking up OA. I know a lot of fans who are trying to transition from just buying comics. They say that they just want to hear somebody who does this explain how they think through and justify the purchase, because yes, we are talking about more money than $3.99 or whatever you're going to throw around on Wednesday. But at the end of the day, if you're selective about what you pick up, and if you also have a sense of strategy, as you said, if you have pieces that you didn't feel as attached to, and there was an opportunity to pick up this John Byrne piece, which sounds like it was a grail, you wheel and deal. You work something out. You found a way to bring it within a price range that you were comfortable. And, you did a little bit of clearing. Is it Marie Kondo? Like, Ava, you guys, he's done a collector profile. He mentions her, but, quality over quantity. Being able to get that Byrne piece for a reasonable price for you, that's an achievement. And that's how you have to think, unless you want to be out on the street collecting OA. There are a lot of whales out there who have very big budgets. That is not me. The people who I've asked to be a part of this series, I know that that's not also apparently their situation. And I think that that's important too. You don't have to be, the wealthiest dentist in your county in order to be able to afford to buy OA. But you do need to have a sense of strategy. You have to look at the patterns and take advantage when this is in a price range that works for you, where you're comfortable with the purchase.
I'll give you a tip, and the audience a tip. When it comes to payments, PayPal has a special deal where they will pay upfront for an item, but then on your end, they'll deduct it every 2 weeks from your account. So that buys you time to get that money ready so they can deduct it and you eventually pay them off and you already have the artwork in hand. So I would look into that if you're starting out and there's a big piece. Speak to these creators, speak to the dealers, let them know, look, I want it, but I can't give you all this money up front. Is there a deal we can work out where, monthly, every 2 weeks, and then set aside that money and just pay it off? I had one guy, this surprised me. We made a deal. I said I'd pay him a certain amount for the next few months, and then I sent him one payment, and like a week later, the art's in my mailbox. Now, if I was an evil person, I wouldn't pay him again. But I'm not like that. It's about your reputation. It's how you are with people. It's about your character. So, it's a small community. Not a lot of people do this. And so word of mouth spreads when things are not on the up and up.
Absolutely.
So it's very important to, be realistic about what you can afford. There will be some moments of FOMO. I had one recently on an Eric Larson page that I wasn't able to get, but it is what it is. It was on the Heritage auction 2 days ago.
That'll do it to you, sure.
Yeah, but you'll feel that. But at the end of the day, really, it's just artwork. It's fun, and it's a really good community of people for the most part. So hopefully that
agreed. It definitely was helpful. I didn't know that PayPal tip, so I appreciate it. I'm sure there are other people out there who also see the use in it and are thankful that you were able to provide them with that other option with some of these more pricey purchases. Jason, it has been awesome. Stick around for a moment, but I do want to let the rest of the audience here know it's been fun. That does it for this particular collector profile. If you like what you've heard and seen today, hit that like button, hit that subscribe so that you get notifications whenever new content is available. Very thankful you joined us. Sketch God for the Fandam Collectibles YouTube channel. Until next time.